Thank you for joining us on this episode of Use Your Words podcast. This one is going to be a little more relaxed. We're talking about what we've done so far and are planning to do over summer. So in this case, we're going to hear from Aaron and his wonderful tales about hiking in Colorado, his trip to the non-existent waterfall, his musical activities that he's been doing this summer, hear about Josh's wedding and his wonderful speech, his best man speech. Just a great thing that made you cringe. And I finish off with talking about my vacation of the summer, which was my trip to Life Fest, and how I was told I was going to be fat by a little kid. So yeah, listen, find out what that's all about.
You're gonna get fat. The thing, some of that I just did on purpose. Not all of it, because I started off purposely rough, but then as I was getting into it, I was kind of getting nervous now.
I had Davina come up to me say,
"Wait, she's at your table, right?"
No. She was at a different table. She walked over to my table and said, "This is your get. No." She said, "This is your fault
for teaching me how to ramble."
She goes, "This is your fault." The Sincocks were like, "Just go take away
the mic."
They're like, people will applaud you at this point. I just sat there when you saw me put my head in my hand and just shake my head. It's because I was feeling embarrassed for you.
I was dying on the inside, laughing and sadness all at the same time.
Oh, I have a story that'll make you laugh greatly, but let's get to that after the intro here. Welcome to Use Your Words podcast, where we believe in intelligently spoken conversations. So and I will admit, like I said, I can talk, or not, yeah, or not. Oh, welcome to another episode of Use Your Words podcast. We're back to normal Use Your Words podcast here. We're not on the special Hey Church episodes right now. You can go ahead and check that out at its own URL now and everything with that. But I am Paul, joined once again with Aaron. And Aaron, man, it feels like we haven't seen each other in a while. Last time I saw you was at Josh and Amy's second wedding.
Wait, that was the last time, wasn't it?
Yes, it's been a minute since we've seen each other. It's been a minute.
That was end of June, and now we're mid-July.
Yeah, and that whole thing that you heard just us talking about, Aaron gave the best man speech at the wedding. And
the worst man speech.
The amount of rambling going on was just impressive.
Awful. It was so bad.
And at first you were like, "I don't care." I was da-da-da. And I'm like, I'm glad that you wanted to let Josh and Amy know how much you love Josh. You know,
keep going.
And I did have to explain to everyone at the table. I was like, Amy knows that she married both Aaron and Josh. So this isn't too awkward in that regard. And I'm glad that you wanted to let Josh, like I said, let Josh know how much you loved him. The rambling, sir, rambling and the I was like, I'm listening to Beavis and Butthead give a speech. Oh my goodness.
This show's a classic. I have to have ADD or ADHD or something.
This was beyond that.
But I was because talking through that guy's sound system freaked me out.
And I get that,
No, that was some of the moments because I wanted to someone at one of the tables in the front was like, "Hold it close." I was like, "You really want to what?" And because as soon as it got close, it was like, "Rrr." I was like, oh. That terrified me. But say whatever you want to say.
I was gonna say, I get it because at one point there's a difference between being in front of a mic like here, where we're in your basement. But if you put me in front of a mic in front of a large group of people, I better have prepared that, otherwise I'm going to be stumbling all over.
Which is exactly what I was doing.
And that's why I asked you. I was like, "Did you
practice?" No. It was immediately as I started that. It was strategically planned the way it was, where I went first.
Okay. I
because
believe that.
I knew when the DJ came up and he was like, "Hey," he's like, so I was like, "Are you doing this thing?" Yeah. He's like, "Who's going first?" I was like, "Me." Because I was like, I'm gonna do horrible, and then she's gonna clean it up and do a great job. So and she did. She was great. She
did a great job,
straight to the point, and just got through it nicely and easily. And because the thing with, I wasn't even gonna go on to Amy at the end of mine. I was just gonna end it, whatever. But then I was like thinking back, I was like, shoot, Sophia's gonna talk about Josh too. And I was like, Amy. So and then like when she gave hers, she didn't even like talk. Well, she talked about what Josh being in some like sport or whatever. That was about it. Like she didn't talk to or about Josh.
Yeah.
So I was like, frick. I was like, I didn't even have to keep going. I should have just covered Josh and you just cover Amy. We'd have been fine.
So funny that you talk that you say that.
Yeah.
Because when we were sitting in the back, and after I pulled my head out of my hands and I stopped shaking. And then the maid of honor gave her speech. I almost called her best woman. Maid of honor gave her speech. They go, so how do you rate her versus Aaron? I was like,
oh my God.
This is what people at my table were asking.
This is where you go, okay, you see the maid of honor? College. Aaron, grade school.
No, I was like, there's no way you could go down from what Aaron did. I was like, it's like infinitely better. It's like, but yes, it's like you're offered two plates. Would you like this filet mignon or would you like this steaming pile of crap? Not that I'm saying you're a steaming pile of crap. No, it was like that's the quality comparison between the two speeches, and I just sat there.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job,
and that's why, especially as you're in the middle of your rambling, and you're like, "Oh, and I did this podcast with that," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, please don't do that."
From Josh being a high school to a podcast buddy to,
I was just like,
"Hey, Paul,"
and you even said, "I see my friend back there shaking his head." I'm like, "Yep, I'm shaking my head because I am so embarrassed."
Y'all should go talk to him afterwards.
I was like, I am so embarrassed for you.
It was great. It was fantastic.
Sure.
I'm just,
and you having your hair like the way you did.
Dude, I didn't want it. Josh wanted it. He's like, dude, do it. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And then they did it. They all liked it. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. I was not a I'm going to tell you this. Get it cut maybe even more this weekend. Not this, whatever.
Yeah. Wow. I'm impressed. Yeah. I will say this. I've known only one other person with that style.
Uh-oh. Who's that?
A guy you wouldn't know because I met him at a conference and I've kept in contact with him through conferences.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Never do that again.
Never, Heath.
I wish I would have taken a picture for that, but at the same time, I'm glad I didn't burn my eyeballs.
Well, don't worry. There's pictures of it.
Oh, I know.
Don't you worry.
There
was wedding photos.
There's Josh and Amy's wedding photos. I fully understand, but no. Regardless, so that was one part of the summer.
That was the kickoff. Well, I mean, in a sense.
Wow, what a kickoff! Yeah, what a kickoff it was.
I loved it.
Ooh,
I don't regret it. Yeah.
Outside of that,
that wasn't the kickoff.
Oh, it was a kickoff.
For me, it was Colorado.
All right. What happened out of Colorado?
A lot of struggling happened in Colorado.
A lot of struggling. Yeah. What type of struggling? Spiritual struggling, physical struggling?
Everything struggling. No,
I haven't heard any of this, so this is all new to me.
This is all brand new.
What sort of struggling happened in Colorado?
So it was the realization of, one, how much the altitude difference really does affect you. And then
How so?
It gets harder to do stuff. Being physically active. It's so tough.
Like, give me an example. Like, what were you doing? You were hiking?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I see. Okay. And I was so excited for it. I was so excited to go hiking and stuff like that. And like the first hike that we did, we were gonna go see like a waterfall or something, which I've never seen a waterfall yet. Still haven't seen one because we didn't make it to them.
If you'd like, I can go put a hose on your roof and just run the water off your roof. And you can have a waterfall in your own backyard.
I guess water is falling. So, or is the water rising? But
that is a reference to an Alter Bridge song, so I'm just gonna let that one fly under the radar. Anyways, go on.
So whatever. But so hiking,
Yeah.
And so I think it was about, I think it was going to be a 4 to 5 mile hike to get to the waterfall.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't make it that far.
How far did you make it?
We got about to the halfway point. I mean, the others would have made it.
Okay.
But me going at my pace, it wasn't going to make it.
And I have a question, and this isn't me trying to be mean or anything.
What?
How was the topic broached of who brought it up? Did you bring it up or did they bring it up of like, Aaron, we don't think you're going to make it the rest of the
no, that was me.
Okay.
No, because I mean, and that's, I felt so bad. I started getting pissed off. Not because one of the guys, Lucas, that came with, like, he would stop after a while and like look back, check on me, see how I'm doing. And if I was too far back, he'd wait. I'm like, dude, just keep freaking going. Don't stop for me. Because I felt so bad for holding him back. I was like, if you guys keep going, you keep going. I'll just go and do what I can. But then I guess, like, I get it. Being out in the mountains in, I don't know, unknown area, don't want to leave someone behind, even though, I mean, you're on a trail. So it's like when you come back, go out on the trail, you're coming back on the same trail. So at some point you'd run into me.
Right.
Unless something happened to me. So
and they're like, that used to be Aaron.
Yeah, right.
He's hanging from a tree and a bear is chomping on his head.
So that was I'll get to that in a bit, but so yeah, we, as far as hiking went, when we got up in the higher elevations, it was pretty difficult. It was crazy to see like how different it was for like just breathing. It's like, wow. We did go to, it was called REI, some store, and we were getting like just recommendations from this guy about hiking places and stuff like that. And one of the things he said is like, the higher and higher you get in elevation, the more you cut down on your like speed on hiking. So he said, like, I wish I could remember like the exact things he said, but like, he's like, so what you'd hike at one level, once you get so much higher, depending on, I can't remember how big the difference was, but he's like, you should cut that speed in half. I was like, huh.
And what town again did you go to in Colorado?
So we stayed in, it was called Lafayette.
Okay.
But which is in between Boulder, Colorado, and Denver. So that's not in the mountains. That's down low.
And where were you hiking at?
So, gosh, I mean, we did, I thought one of them was a part of the Rocky Mountain National Park. We hiked at the Golden Gate Canyon.
Okay.
Another day. And then there was, I think, the other, I guess, in a sense, type of hiking we did. It was, what was that called? The National, Colorado National Monument.
Well, the reason I ask is, so where we're at right now, right?
Yeah.
We're pretty much at sea level here in good old Wisconsin. We're not that high elevation, right?
No.
So the effective oxygen percent, the amount of oxygen in the air that we're able to pull out of the air and use is about 20.9%. Okay. Where you were.
Just in Lafayette.
Yeah. And like the golden.
Oh, okay.
The golden, what was it called?
I think Golden Gate Canyon.
Golden Gate Canyon is about 9,000 feet altitude.
Man.
The oxygen percent goes down to 14.8% there.
Oh, wow.
Boulder, Colorado, just Boulder itself is down to 17.3%.
So it's not much lower. But that little bit lower. I have a table here. It goes like from, dark green, which is very safe, to purple, which is beyond red. Okay. Ooh,
so, dark green, light green, like light green means like, hey, you're having some oxygen deficiency if you're not used to it, right? Especially us. We're used to 20%.
Yeah, we're used to.
All of a sudden, you're in a place where your lungs are pulling out almost 6% less oxygen per breath.
Yeah.
You're not doing well.
No. It was wild. And so the first hike, we got about to halfway of our actual like destination. So instead of it being, I guess at that point it would have been closer to a 7 to 10 mile hike had we gone the whole way. I can't remember the exact numbers on how far stuff was. I mean, I thought we got about 2-ish miles out. So then that back about 4 to 5 something, whatever. And that was the thing. It's coming back was easy. It was going out and just doing a continual like incline was the killer. Yeah. Coming back, I was feeling fine.
For the
most part.
Well, yeah, when you're climbing, your body is going to need more energy, hence more oxygen.
To go up,
and
yeah.
You're relatively not able to pull as much oxygen out because of the lower pressure.
Yeah, it got to you quick.
You're
At
like-
least for me, yeah.
That's why athletes who do, they train
Yeah.
in high, well, they don't train in high altitudes. They might live at high altitude for a while just to get used to the lower oxygen.
Right.
And then they'll train at lower altitudes, be like, oh, look, I have a surplus of oxygen in my body.
We're good to go. Yeah, that was like going into it, I was like, man, for being a fat guy that never hikes and I don't live in this altitude, I was like, all this is going against me quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then the other, like the other part, so because then we went to the far west side of Colorado and to Grand Junction. I had an aunt and uncle out there.
Okay.
But we were told to go. I thought it was like Rocky Mountain National Monument. I think that's what it was. But that was mainly like all driving. There was a couple of spots like we got out and did like a small like little hike on like some, I don't know, some rock formation, whatever. And then, what was it? Oh, there was another part. I think that was still over on that side. I mean, it was about 110 degrees the one day we were there. It was hot, but again, there it's very dry heat. So it wasn't as, I mean, like I would have taken that over a 90-degree day here.
Where it's like 90% humidity.
Yeah, that would have been much worse. But we were walking through this one place hoping to find a waterfall, and we saw two gals coming from that direction. I was like, hey, does there happen to be, well, no, we were looking for a pool because there was supposed to be a pool, and the waterfalls were ways past it. So I was like, is there like a pool, down the way where you came from? Because we haven't come across it yet. And they're like, no, where we are, there's supposed to be waterfalls, but it's been so dry here, there's just no water out here. I was like, there's no. So we passed it wherever it would have been.
Yep. So
yeah, it was cool. But then, yeah, so heading back, whatever. Yeah, it was just the hiking. And oh my gosh, Lucas, for that Golden Gate Canyon Park, whatever.
Yeah.
He picked one of the two most difficult trails to do. I don't know why I agreed to this, but I was so frustrated.
You should just sat at the hotel in your walk-in shower all day.
Dude,
just like,
I don't know what I was thinking. Because one was like Black Bear like trail or whatever, and then something else is like Beaver Tail trail. We did the beaver one because I was like, well, I'd be down to do the Black Bear one, if we actually saw a bear. But the thing that like made me consider doing the beaver one is like, well, it's just like one like kind of like circle. So once you get done with it, you're at the start of it.
Yeah, it's a loop.
So I was like, oh, okay, fine, we'll do that. And then not realizing how much of an idiot I was for doing it. But the thing that sucked again, when we started, we went to the left, and it was like at a slow but kind of steady incline the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
Which there was a runner that we had passed, and he's like, oh, then I was like, dude, if you've been running this whole thing, you're a monster. He's like, well, it's all pretty much downhill from here. I was like, oh, okay. But once we got to the top point, and then we started hitting the decline on the other side, I'm glad we went the way we did because it was a steep incline. Well, would have been a very steep incline the whole way just for that short amount. But the fact of how steep it was, I would have been dead that way either way.
Yeah, I see some of these photos.
Yeah.
And people hike it during the winter even.
Oh, that'd be cool. Potentially, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I see the elevation as it goes up. There's a nice little, so depending on do you remember did you start the Deer Creek Canyon Park or did you start at Hildebrand Ranch Park?
Oh, I don't know. That's part of the Beaver Trail?
The Black Bear.
Oh, we didn't do that one. No.
Oh,
so that's
sorry.
No, we did the Beaver. I think it was a Beaver Trail or whatever.
Beaver Tail Trail?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought you said Black Bear.
No, I would have done it had there been a guarantee of us seeing a bear, but there's no. Which we didn't really see any wildlife, which kind of bummed me out. We saw some deer here and there.
Yeah.
And we saw one elk just roaming the streets in no, I can't remember the name of the little town too.
Okay. But anyways,
Estes Park, that's where it was. So that was about it. But there was one guy that must have raised elk because in his yard he had for sure 30 elk just chilling in the yard. I was like, wow, that's incredible.
Okay, so I see. So the Beaver Trail, it's only 3.4 miles. It's not that long.
No, not long. But man, that incline destroyed me. Oh my gosh. So even going down though, was much nicer.
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting the leg wobble near the end from like trying to hold myself from just like tumbling down. So I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
It's like, Lucas, I'm never letting you pick a trail again.
Your body's like, I need oxygen.
Yeah. My body was not happy with me. But I was surprised. I like, even after all of that, like I never got like sore.
Okay. Oh yeah. I see the elevation going up on the trail.
Yeah.
Wow. You guys had fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you started out about 8,000 feet,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And you went up at the tippy top. It was 9,219 feet.
Jeez. Yeah.
So if we take that into account of this wonderful graph that I found for oxygen percent, right?
Yeah.
You were down to that 14.8% relative oxygen level that you were getting every time you breathe.
That was great.
And it actually, I wonder, oh yeah, okay. So you would have started that way. That had a nice little grade there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun.
20-some%.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
What was it? That's, points, it's like 26% gradient. You know what gradient means, right?
It's like the
angle?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys are going up pretty steep at points.
Yeah, it was great.
Let
me tell you.
Look at you all doing that.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I think the highest point we got to was like 11-some thousand feet at some other location. I can't remember the name of that one, but that was mainly just driving, which was a lot of fun. Driving in the mountains, kind of terrifying.
Oh, you've never done it before, have you?
Me driving, no. Riding with my uncle, yes. Driving myself, no.
Did they have guardrails on the side?
Not always.
Yeah, that's always fun. So one year I had to drive my brother out to a conference in Pennsylvania. This is when I was younger.
Yeah.
I might have been 19 at the time, so not driving extremely long.
No.
And this conference was on Pennsylvania. And I remember driving in, you get on the mountain roads and it's like no guardrails on the side. And then you see the runaway truck ramps and all that. And then you see the signs, falling rocks. I'm like, oh, this is a perfect combination for me completely. And this was before the advent really of cell phones.
Oh, okay.
So, because remember, iPhone, what year did the iPhone come out in?
This was early 2000s.
2007.
Okay, mid 2000s.
So that'd be late 2000s, 2007. That you're already 3/4 of the
mid to late. Okay.
Yes, anyways, this would have been about 2002 when I did this. So there wasn't like a GPS, like you could buy a GPS unit, but I was a college student. I didn't have the money for that. And I got lost on the way to this conference.
Oh, no.
So I actually had to pull like into a rest stop. I found a rest stop, buy an atlas. Have you ever used an atlas before?
A couple times, but
and I kind of had to go like, okay, where am I on this atlas? And then plot out my roads and do all that ahead of time. Yeah. Instead of just going, dunk.
Where am I?
Yeah. I want to go here. Take the next right.
Yeah.
There was none of that.
It's all on paper.
Yeah. So that's what I was wondering if you've had ever.
Thankfully, I mean, I don't know. I've used it, I guess, on old family trips, yes, when I was younger, but I mean, I was never really the one figuring out much. But I've used it a couple times. Man, nighttime driving was the worst because I did let Lucas drive too a little bit, and he was one of those guys is that he likes to take it fast. And as you're going like down, when you're on a decline, I mean, there's a lot of times where if you didn't have your foot on the brake, you're going up to 70 miles an hour, whether you like it or not.
Yep.
And then you'll have this sign saying, recommended speed 35 for this next upcoming turn. I'm looking at Lucas. I'm like, as it gets close, he like kind of hits the brakes. So we take the turn. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay, we might not make it home.
Flying off the road.
Yeah. And I mean, for like the main roads, pretty much all had like, some kind of guardrail. But once you got like to like parks and stuff like that and stuff for some of the stuff in the mountain, you were getting up in the mountains. There's times where I'm looking over the side. I'm like, there's nothing there.
Yeah. I'm like, you go off. Guess what? You're done for.
It's all over. You
are what they call dunsies.
Yeah. So that was a wonderful kickoff to summer. It was so much fun. The first night, like we went to Boulder for dinner, and so there's like mountains right next to us.
Yep.
So we went up one, and then that's why I sent that one text of like the sunset. And yeah, that was the night when that was like the first night in Colorado is seeing that sunset from up in the mountains, and that was amazing. So I don't know. I want to go back. So I just want to go out in the mountains again. But I don't know. They're great.
Oh, they are.
But I just want to be better for them next time.
All right.
Because it's exhausting.
So that's how you started out. Then you came back and you had Josh's wedding.
Then that was just
with the rambling.
See, I went so great and then went down, and now it.
Oh, now it's all in the gutter, right?
Yeah.
So what else do you got going on this summer?
So there's another wedding. So yeah, good old Nico. I'll be a part of his wedding, which I'm also the best man for.
Okay, rambling part 2.
So, yeah.
Someone please record that for me.
No. No, it was so funny because he said at Josh, he's like, honestly, he's like, we don't even know if we're gonna have like speeches for our wedding. And I was like, yeah, probably after that, you don't want me talking at your wedding. And he was dying. He's like, dude, it's like, if you did that at my wedding, I'd be so happy with that. I was like, what? Okay. He was just dying apparently the whole time. He thought it was the funniest thing. So I was like, okay.
And how much did he have to drink?
I don't know.
Okay.
As far as I know, not that much, but I wasn't with him the whole time. I probably had more than he did at that point.
You don't say.
Yeah. I was not drunk at all that night. But no, that was okay. So after the wedding, we actually got Josh and Amy to come out and hang out downtown Racine with us.
What?
Yeah. We went to Pepe's, and then we went to another place, then we went to another place, and then we ended at Ivanhoe, and then we went home. I never thought they would have gone out after that. My mind is blown.
That is impressive.
Yeah. So that was cool. Whatever. That was fun. And I mean, now it's been music stuff so far. We had one, I guess, no, I lied. We had one gig before Colorado, which was okay. And then after Josh's wedding, we had another gig at some point. Mm-hmm. Unexpectedly, it was like last minute, like the day of, we got asked like, hey, you want to play tonight? I'm like, what? Okay. So we did. That was cool. And then just some other music stuff with some other friends and people of mine that I know. And gosh, yeah, the wedding. And now, as of recently, we're going to see, well, I guess depending on, I don't know what time this is getting posted, but we're going to see Skillet at the State Fair. So that's going to be fun.
Yep. That's the August concert for me.
Yes.
And then there's a September concert for me.
Yes. That's in Chicago, right?
Yep.
What day is that? Is that the 14th you said? I can't remember what the date was.
Anyways, that's the Classic Crime down Chicago. The canceled concert from last year, which I have a...
That was for last year.
Yeah. That it got canceled because of, obviously,
feels like ages
COVID.
Ago. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that is September 23rd.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's close to my nephew's.
Yeah, because I asked you, I was like, "Hey, what are you doing on the 23rd?" And you're like, probably celebrating with my mom and my nephew, their birthdays." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." I was like, "I have a
what day of the week?"
It's a Thursday night.
It's a Thursday. Yeah, then we definitely won't.
So I have a funny little story about that.
What?
I saw them go, "Oh yeah, September 23rd, we have a concert down in Chicago, right?"
They canceled again?
No. Oh. So I saw that. I was like, oh, I should get tickets. My brain completely forgot.
I already had a ticket,
and it forgot I already had VIP tickets.
Yep.
So I'm sitting on 2 extra VIP tickets. So now I'm sitting on 2 extra general tickets and 2 extra VIP tickets.
My gosh. So wait,
and I realized all this 2 hours after I purchased. I was like... looking through my emails, I'm like, oh, crap, I did that.
I already have this.
So we might find 2 other people to buy.
Okay.
Because I got extras.
That's awesome. Well, then as far as... Wait.
And they only sold 15 VIP tickets.
Oh, my
total.
Gosh.
I'm sitting on 4 of them. Whoops.
Sick. So then, wait, but then if I bought a general ticket...
You need to buy a general in addition to a VIP. Okay. VIP does not give you general. Just like when I was at Life Fest recently, on-stage seating did not include general.
That's so weird. I don't get why
they had to be purchased separately.
I don't get why they wouldn't include that in there, but it's what they do.
Yeah. But yeah, so...
you have extra tickets. Hey, who wants to go see Classic Crime?
Classic Crime with Picturesque.
Picturesque.
I'm looking forward to that concert also. That's my September concert. And I actually have it set up so that my dog will be staying at daycare overnight, both for the Skillet concert and that concert. Oh. So I don't have I have to get home by a certain time because my dog's going to pee all over type deal. It's she will be safe and housed and doing her thing and enjoying her life, and I will pay like $100 for her to be taken care of those 2 days, but it'll be so worth it. But yeah, so, and then you said something about you're going to go see August Burns Red twice.
Yeah, I'm going to go see August Burns Red for sure twice this year. Okay, yeah, it's at the intersection. Isn't that where it was last time?
I believe so.
When I went out with you? Because it's next door to the Founders Brewery.
Yep.
Oh
so
my gosh. Perfect spot. I remember because when we went there that one time, of course, me being the kid I am, I went before anybody even thought about showing up at the doors.
Yep. That sounds about right.
And then I went to I hung out at Founders for a little bit, had a couple drinks and had something to eat, and then went back to line to being the only person there. It was great.
Because people normally don't line up at 10 a.m.
Yeah. Especially when the VIP is at like 4 or 5.
Yeah. And it's like, you're guaranteed to get in. Calm down.
Yeah, but see, this is the thing. I remember when they played at Summerfest a couple years ago, and Peter and we got there. We're at the stage and we're starting like front row, and we're just gonna walk to like the front corner. But as we were approaching the corner, 2 other guys just like jumped up and like, "We've been waiting here all morning for this." I was like, "That's okay, cool. We'll be next to you guys." But then I mentioned, like, we were talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna go see him in Chicago or whatever. We just got tickets for this because it just popped up. But yeah, we have VIP tickets to see him in Chicago, whatever. And we're talking about how early like we've gotten there or we're gonna get there and stuff. The guys were like, you guys are idiots for showing up that early when you have VIP anyways. I was like, what?
I like these people. They're smart.
No, they're stupid.
You're VIP. You're guaranteed in. You're going to get in before everyone else. You're good to go. You're golden. You can arrive 5 minutes before the VIP.
It's first come, first serve because then you're in line. And then if you're in first in line, you're pretty much in that position throughout the whole thing. And then that means also when doors open to get to the stage, you are the first one to enter in.
Yeah.
So then you have the best chance of getting up front.
How many VIP tickets do they sell? Are they selling hundreds? Because if they're selling hundreds of VIP tickets, then it's not VIP.
I don't know.
What does VIP stand for?
Very important person.
If they're selling hundreds, then you are not very important people. You're a very important sheep that they are making money off of.
Oh, stop it! I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of curious now. I don't know how many they sell per show.
Whereas I know Classic Crime only sells 15. But anyways, so any other concerts besides those or any other fun summer things going on?
I got a kayak.
Why did you get a kayak?
I love kayaking.
Okay, you got a kayak and you put a down payment on a bicycle. Not a motorcycle, a bicycle. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've only had the chance to take the kayak out once so far, but I'm trying to set aside a couple of weekends before summer's like done. Well, I don't know. Summer, I don't have to stop after summer, but before it gets too cold, trying to set aside some days to just take her out and go out and do some kayaking. I know Josh got a boat. Well, Josh and Amy got a boat.
Yep.
So I am the loner on this one, so they get to pay me back.
Well, fun for you.
Yeah. I thought about and I was like, you know what? As they pay me back, I should just put that money towards like a account that I'm saving money for to buy another motorcycle. But I probably
How about not?
Yeah. It's funny because as I've looked for motorcycles, literally every time like I've gone to pursue either taking one for a test ride or just asking about about a bike that's there that I'm interested in. One, it's either sold. Well, that's been the case where it's like any bike that I've looked at has become sold. And then there's one where I asked a question about 4 bikes to see if I could take them on a test ride. 2 sold. Then 1 had a pending down payment on it. I was like,
I think this is God saying,
"Yep,
you're done."
No more. He's not right now. Just don't.
Yeah.
Stop. This should not be your primary focus right now. So yeah, no motorcycle for me yet.
Anything else going on this summer?
Dude, I mean, there's always stuff going on, I suppose.
Okay.
And I don't know. It's been one of those summers where at first it didn't seem like much was going to happen, and now it's just like left and right things are big. Oh, can you do this? Can you do this? What about this? How's this? And I'm like, okay. I'm hoping I get 1 weekend. I'm planning on just going to lacrosse for a weekend. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah. That's my summer.
That's your summer. Mine isn't as crazy and glamorous as yours in any sort of the way, but that's okay.
You are an insanely busy man.
That's okay. That's why I take off once in a while. So as mentioned, I did go to Life Fest, with a bunch of our people from the church. And
How did that?
oh boy,
I heard Thursday was rough.
Okay. To say it was rough is an understatement.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what happened. Up where Life Fest is at, it's up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. They had been under drought-like conditions up until like June 15th. And all of a sudden, like June 15th came and they got just a ton of rain. And I find this funny because we were up there in Oshkosh. And then on Friday, all of a sudden, everyone's weather app said, special weather statement. We're like, what the heck is going on? Oh, gosh, our tents are going to be blown away. What's going on? We look at it. Since June 15th, Oshkosh has received 7.1 inches of rain. Really? This is what you put out an alert for? So keep that in mind. Since June 15th, 7.1 inches of rain. And it happened to be raining quite a bit the day before Life Fest started. So Wednesday night would be the night that normally people with Fast Pass could go into the campsite and set up and be ready for Thursday and be like, yeah. Well, they called it off and said, anyone with this, don't come because the grounds are just so
sopping wet.
Well, not only sopping wet, they're underwater, essentially. Most of them. You just can't do it. So, okay, fine, whatever. And that wasn't going to affect me because I wasn't going to go up till Thursday. Well, Andy and them were going to go up. So they couldn't. So they went up early. They managed to get in on Thursday early morning before the chaos happened. So I get up there. I'm like, they said the gates are going to open at 8:30. I was like, I won't be there around 9, let the initial, deluge go through, everything happen. Like, this will be okay. We'll be good.
No.
I get there and I'm like, pulling the line, the line's not moving. Okay. Put in park, put on HBO Max, was watching some Doctor Who, just kind of relaxing, whatever, not really caring. And I'm like, after about a half hour, I'm like, it still hasn't moved.
You didn't move for a half hour.
I looked on Facebook. Due to rain, we're not going to open the gates till 10.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, a half hour more till the gates even open, right?
Yeah.
And then they start directing the line traffic. So it goes through a Winnebago County park.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of parking lots on the side of it. And so they start directing everyone into one of the parking lots and in lines because they were backing out onto the main roads. And they couldn't do that. So they had to keep, filling all the parking lots. So we were going to rows and parking lots. So I eventually moved into a parking lot. But, at that point, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to use the restroom because there's a restroom building right here. Go do all that. I go do that. I come back. Still no moving. 10 o'clock. Still no moving. 10:30. Still haven't moved. Finally, probably a little after 10:30, we start moving. I'm like, yay, we're going to go through. And, we're going through the line. And at this point, I'm getting a little frustrated. And I'm messaging with Andy. I'm like, so how's the campsite? And like, I'm frustrated. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah. He's like, it's bad. He's like, you're in for some fun. And he wasn't wrong. And I'm going through the line, and I'm frustrated, but I'm keeping it together because I have Doctor Who.
There you go.
I'm watching stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, so we can't park on our campsite, which was, part of the nice big thing about the camps that we bought such a big campsite is because we could park on it. It's like, yeah, we can't park on it. So he's like, I just had to go to the back of the line that you're in to go park. So what they're doing is as we're emptying out the parking spot lots, they're filling them back in with people parking. So I'm sitting there like, okay, have fun. They have to park like all the way at the back. I'm sitting there watching Doctor Who. All of a sudden I see Andy go knocking on my passenger window. He's like, yeah, so we're parked all the way back there. He's like, wants to carry your stuff? I was like, I'll just drive up. And I was like, don't worry about it. Because I knew it was a good distance to the campground still from where I was. So I'm driving, slowly moving. Eventually we get to a roundabout. And this roundabout was the roundabout of horrible traffic. Oh. As I like to call it. So you know what a roundabout looks like, right?
Oh.
So our traffic was going to the right.
Yep.
There was part of the line going to the left, the wrong way on the roundabout, right? And then you had people trying to exit the roundabout while towing campers. It was...
What?
It was chaotic. I put this photo out on social media already because saying I was going to talk about it, but I'm showing Aaron now the picture where the traffic is going to the right where I'm going. There's traffic going to the left on the roundabout and then people coming on towards us on the roundabout. It was just chaotic. At this point is when I knew things were starting to go bad. Okay. And I wasn't wrong. people started getting road rage like you wouldn't believe while in the line. It was ridiculous. Like,
Oof.
and I know it was bad because I'll get to it in a second, but as I was walking back from parking my car, I could hear the volunteers going, "Did you see the crazy lady? Did you hear her? How bad she was yelling?" That, it was getting tense with a lot of people. A lot of people were frustrated. A lot of people were upset. And I get it, but at the same time, it wasn't worth getting crazy over. No, I did tweet.
How much is
No, I tweeted to LifeFest.
Sucks.
At one point, I was like, "Hey, there's a breakdown in communication between your teams. You need to get everyone on the same page." And I'll get into some more of that in a minute.
Okay, wow.
And I was like, I'm not trying to be critical. I was just like, hey, this will help everyone because everyone's confused on what's going on.
Right.
Okay. So anyways, going through the lines, going through the traffic, just a cluster. I finally get to the campground at 12:30. Okay. I unload my stuff. And when I pulled in, they're like, okay, once you you can't go on the grass, so you have to park on the road closest. Thankfully, our campsite was right against the road. So it's like beautiful. So I unloaded my stuff with Andy and Heather's help, got, my stuff in. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go park my car.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, when you go park your car, exit this route. Cool. And then you have to go out onto 76, which is the main road, and then turn back onto the park road, and then turn back into the park, and then get in line all over again to get into a parking spot. I'm like, oh boy, this will be fun. So I follow the directions. I get on 76, immediate parking lot on the freeway. I'm just sitting there going, well, this is fun.
Wait.
So I have Doctor Who out again. I'm watching Doctor Who. Okay. But while this is going on, so I started the day with a full tank of gas. Even in my Prius, turning on the engine to charge the battery and all that every once in a while, I was down to about 3 bars in the gas tank. I was like, hey, I'm not even to the road where I turn onto the park yet. So I'm like, man, if I have to sit in here like an hour and a half, I was like, I'm going to run out of gas. So I was like, there's 2 lanes going, the direction I'm going. The right lane is flowing freely. Like everyone who's trying to get into Life Fest is in the left lane. It's a parking lot. Yeah. So I get into the right lane, pull over, go to a right lane, go down, get to a gas station, fill up. I'm like, I wonder. I got onto the road that essentially was at a intersection with the other road, and the cop just waved me through and said, go on through. And I was able to bypass that entire line. And I was able to get in. Like, I saved myself a good hour and a half. This isn't to say I wasn't already spending a lot of time, because for a Doctor Who fan out there, while I was on Highway 76 there, or Freeway 76, I managed to watch the entire Doctor Who 50th anniversary episode before I went to get gas, which is a good hour and a half plus long. So there was at least an hour and a half until I got to the light to turn onto the road that led down to the road to the park. So yeah. So eventually I get down there, I get into the park. I'm like, and one of the volunteers meets me at the entrance of the park. I'm like, oh, then they see camping pass. I'm like, oh, you're here to camp? They're like, so you have to go through this whole. I'm like, I already dropped off my stuff at my campsite. I am just here to park. They're like, oh, you're lucky. I was like, why am I lucky? And he pointed right at the very first parking lot area of the park. It's like, there's a spot in there. It's like, I parked, okay? It was at least a mile to the campsite from there.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I get out, I start walking, And they're like, oh, yeah, there's a bunch of, there's supposed to be a bunch of essentially trolleys going back and forth. They're essentially big golf carts with, passenger carts on the back. And I didn't see one the entire time. And I was like, come on.
No free rides.
So remember, I got there about 9 in the morning and got to my campground at 12:30 originally to drop off stuff.
Yeah.
By the time I finally got back to the campground with all my stuff there, me parking and everything, it was about 3:30.
Oh, that's a whole day. Oh my gosh.
And there were a lot of people in line still. It was going slow. It was ridiculous. A lot of people yelling and screaming and just all around horrible.
What nice, patient people we have for a Christian.
Yeah.
Christian festival.
I get up to the entrance area, and I had my wristband at this point because I had gotten that when I originally came through the first time for camping, because you have to have it to go into camp. And I'm sitting there asking volunteer, I'm like, if I already have my wristband, can I just go in through the re-entry line or whatever? And they're like, I don't know if that's open yet or not. And this is at the point where I messaged them. And I was like, hey, your staff is not on the same page with,
Right.
I was like, there's so confusion. When I had to go back later that day, there was actually a whiteboard with a sign that said, if you have a wristband, go here. I was like, good job. You listen. So
Nice.
eventually get to the camp and, set up my tent, all that fun stuff, and be like, okay, fine. At that point, Peter had arrived. And I said, okay, Peter, when you get onto something, and he had already dropped off all the stuff. I was like, when you go now to go park, this is what you do.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, really? I'm like, just trust me. You'll
Do it.
save yourself a ton of time.
Do it.
And he saved himself a ton of time because he listened.
Nice.
So
Hacks.
So we're like, okay, cool. Now we can finally relax and start enjoying.
No.
And then someone goes, is Davina coming up today or tomorrow? Good question. Oh, she's coming up today. She's already here. She's in line on 76. She'll be a while.
Oh.
And so eventually, it happens and Davina parks.
Yeah.
Well, I say parks.
Oh, no.
They didn't let her drive up to drop off her stuff at the campground.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So I'm sitting there going, wait, what? And I'm like, Andy. I'm showing Andy my phone. I'm like, see? Yeah. Eventually, Davina parked and then walked up to the campground and everything. And we're like, so where's your car at? She's like a little resistant at first. And we're like, oh, no. I was like, we're getting a wagon because Andy and them had a little collapsible wagon.
Oh, sick.
And it was like, we're getting all your stuff here. We're not going to have you camp out there or not have your stuff. Or It's like, we will do this. Well, we happened to, so we gathered everyone. When I say everyone, like everyone from our campground, we all went, we copped on one of those little trolleys and then made out to Davina's car and got her stuff and trolleyed back. Because it was just like, yeah, we're going to get your stuff for you.
Right.
We're not going to let you do like, oh yeah, you don't have like three-quarters of your stuff or whatever, or you're not going to park out, because some people were camping out by their vehicles. Like, we're not going to let you do that either. So it was just a wonders of happiness there.
Yeah.
So, the next day, Davina wakes up early. I don't know why, but she had to go to her car for something. Then she's like, oh yeah, I parked my car really close. And we're like, really? How close? And she told us, we're like, oh boy, that is close. So we all went out with Davina and she drove us to our vehicles. And then we all drove and parked up close. That was great.
Oh my gosh.
So,
wow.
And then Saturday.
Oh.
I have a funny story about Saturday.
Do tell.
And it made Andy and Heather both, the events of this story independently made Andy and Heather both their jaws drop to the floor by what happened.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
So it was around lunchtime, around noon.
Oh, yeah.
Me, Andy, Heather, and they brought their daughter, their youngest one, with. Oh. And we were having lunch out in the food truck area. I got some jerk chicken with some jerk macaroni and cheese with beans and rice, Caribbean style, not Mexican style, Caribbean style. So good stuff, right?
Yeah. Heather
Heather has beet salad from the same place. Hey, she liked it. So
that's good.
If she liked it, I was like, hey, beautiful. So, we have lunch, whatever, and we eat, and those three go back to the campground. And I was like, you know what? I want an ice cream sundae.
Yeah.
Because I wanted one.
Yeah.
So I got an ice cream sundae. Okay.
Yeah.
I got an ice cream sundae. I take it back to the camp. I'm eating it, just walking up. All of a sudden I hear their youngest child, Paul, stop getting food. You're going to get fat.
Oh.
Okay. And obviously said that a lot more clear than their youngest child did.
Yeah.
Heather's jaw dropped to the floor. Andy wasn't there at this time. Just dropped to the floor and she goes, and saying her child's name, she's like, that is not okay. You need to apologize to Paul. That is not okay. Inside, I'm laughing.
Oh, for real.
I'm like, I'm a bigger guy, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm laughing on the inside. But I'm restraining from laughing externally because I want Heather to be able to handle the discipline with her kid, however, without seeing a counterintuitive reaction from me, like, oh, it's okay, but she's saying, no, it's not okay. I don't want to cause that confusion. So I'm laughing internally. Just her jaw immediately was like, that is not okay. Come to find out, Jonah tells her this all the time, the youngest child.
Oh, Jonah says it to her and she's become fat?
Yeah.
So
Jonah says that to her all the time. So she just repeated what she heard from Jonah.
Of course.
I was just cracking up laughing. And so,
Of course.
okay, so we're doing, this whole interaction happens.
Yeah.
And we're kind of looking around. We're like, man, there's a lot of people with their cars on their parking on their campground. We're like, maybe we can park on the campground. So me, Davina, and Heather walk up to the campsite area, camp director area to find out, hey, can we do this? So while we're on the way, I was like, Heather, just so you know, I'm good. I'm not assaulted by what your daughter said. I was finding it funny. I was laughing. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's perfectly okay. I'm good. And she's just having this, like, I can't believe my daughter said that. I'm like, it's okay. I'm not insulted, whatever, Yeah. So we get to the camp area. No one's there. And it's like, if you have questions, please call this number. Call Pat at this number. So we wait a few minutes. Eventually I say, okay, if by 30 after there's no Pat here, I'm going to call the number. Call Pat. It gets to 30 after. So I call Pat. I say, hey, Pat. I'm in this group camping spot by the stage, blah, blah, blah. I tell them my location. I was like, I see a lot of people parking on their spots. Are we permitted to? After a little, back and forth thinking, then she's like, yeah, you can do that. That's fine. I was like, okay, cool. Thank you very much. So we go get our vehicle. We go through the line. We could pull up to security. Security goes, now you know the routine here. You can go up to your spot to drop off your stuff. I was like, I just talked with Pat, and Pat said, well, I don't care who you talk to. You can't do that. I was like, Pat is in charge of camping. Pat said we may for our spot because our spot is dry enough. Well, I say you cannot. Like, I think you need to talk with Pat, and she goes, well, you do whatever you want. It's on you if your vehicle gets towed. Fine, whatever. And I just continue on. I park without issue, right? Heather had a different security person. No issue at all. She just told them she talked to Pat, and they're like, okay, go on. Go, right? Davina gets the same security person I had. Davina goes, so I talked to Pat, and Davina was like, she put her hands over her ears and said, I don't care who you talk to. And it's just like, I was like, yeah, there needs to be there's a breakdown in communication again here between the teams. And I just laughed at it.
Oh my gosh. It makes me think that one time I remember going up with the motorcycle, and like the year before they had motorcycle park. So I showed up. And they're like, yeah, no, we don't have when did we have motorcycle parking? I was like, oh my gosh. So then they made me go back out in the other thing and park, but I was just like,
yeah, just that breakdown in communication. Sometimes you're just like, come on. But anyways, so we get back to the campground. We eventually find our way through the maze on how to get to our campsite and get parked on our thing, right? Then Andy comes, and Heather's gone with their daughter. I'm like, so Andy, I had a funny interaction with your daughter.
Yeah.
I tell him what happened. His jaw dropped. He's like, I can't. He's like, I am so sorry. I'm like, it's okay.
I'm telling you because it's funny.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm telling you because I find it funny. I'm good with this. It's them who's having the problem with it.
Yeah.
It's just like,
oh man, that's amazing.
So there's one more story from Life Fest. So one of the bands that almost always comes back to Life Fest is Newsboys.
Ugh. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I still have not seen them yet.
This one was different. It was Newsboys United. So Newsboys United is they brought back some of the original band members from before Tate took over as singer.
Yeah.
And so they brought back Peter, forget his last name, he's bald.
Okay.
And their original bassist / guitarist, Joel.
Oh, okay.
So they brought them back, right? Because the other members besides Tate are the original members still.
Yeah.
So, it was more reunite with them, and then they had new singers, that to counterbalance Tate and everything. And it was beautiful. It was great. It was very nostalgic for me because of what they did is Tate took off for a little bit.
And
and the original ones sang like some old songs. Like they brought back some of the old music videos even and put it up on the LEDs. Like I never realized how demented the Shine music video is. It starts with a red curtain, right? And it rises up and reveals some more red curtains behind it. They slide across. And there's this woman like in a geisha outfit, very plaster white makeup, right? And there's a hamster running in a hamster wheel. And then she brings out some salt. She brings out some pepper. And then flashes to the band and all that. And then it flashes back to the woman again eventually. And she's like holding her hand over her mouth like she's burping. And there's no hamster in the hamster ball anymore. I'm like, wait a minute. Where did I miss this? I'm like, how is this a part of Shine? What is going on?
I need to see this.
I'm like, someone just ate a hamster?
Yum.
I'm like, what the heck? Okay.
That's awesome.
I never put two and two together when I was younger. And then I sing it now. I'm like, oh my goodness.
What just happened?
Yeah. So that wasn't the story though. That was just something that just, and they did their traditional raising and tilting drum.
Yeah.
And it's amazing
That
watching
is
it from the
cool.
sidelines because you realize he's not using a harness. He's doing that he's keeping himself upright while the drum's spinning, all with his core, all with his muscles.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Well, how far is it tilting?
It's tilting all the way forward. So it goes up and then does a 90-degree tilt. So the drum set is straight up and down while spinning.
Wait.
I have video of it. I'll show you. And you realize he's not using a harness. He's just using a seatbelt. He's doing that all with his core strength to keep himself upright while he's spinning.
Fastened
With a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Not with a harness.
No, yeah. Okay. Still, then yes, that's wild.
That he's using his core strength to keep himself upright to do that.
That's awesome.
But anyways, during the last song, there was like this part where Tate goes down to the crowd a little bit and does some stuff. Well, Peter Frampton.
Does he say he loves them? Because he probably doesn't.
He said I think he said something like, your chocolate uncle Tate loves you or something like that.
Oh my gosh, okay.
I think it was Bryce who said there should be a drinking game about how many times he calls himself your chocolate uncle.
Oh my God.
Bryce said that.
I like that idea, Bryce.
Or chocolate something like a chocolate family member. And I was just like, oh boy.
That's amazing.
Anyways, so the last song, Tate's down below. So Peter, he comes over to the sideline. So I had on stage seating for the entire Life Fest event. So I was able to see everything from the side. It was cool.
Yeah.
Like I had pictures of their set list and everything. So I knew exactly what songs people were doing before they even arrived up on stage.
Right.
And it was kind of nice, but also at the same time, it kind of took some of the mystery and joy out of it. Because it's like, I know what's coming up. I know what's going to be acoustic. I know it's not. I knew when Skillet was going to go light and when the drum solo was coming. I knew when all that was happening. But anyways, he comes over to the sideline. I'm not in the front row because I got there a little late that day. But there were some people in the front row and there's a girl in there. And Peter walks up. He kind of puts his bald head forward and he's like rubbing his bald head. And she's just like, no. So eventually he takes his guitar off his shoulders and puts it on her. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And, he backs away so the parents could take photos and everything. And, like, oh, look, she has Peter's guitar, and the parents are doing that. They're like, hey. It was weird. I was like, there has to be something going on here.
What?
But just seeing him go up to that girl and just go rub my head, just rubbing his bald head, it was just so weird and so odd. And I kind of wish I had my camera going at the time, but at the same time,
It was whatever.
Yeah.
You saw it.
Yeah, I saw it. Trust me. I was like, I don't know why you would ever go up to someone and go rub my head.
Do it. It's for good luck, isn't it?
But it was our last song. It was just a lot of fun, just whatever.
Yeah.
All good. And it was a great time. I enjoyed it. But it did pull some of the mystery out, being able to see the set list ahead of time. But it was also cool seeing like how the different artists put their stage boxes together with their, with all their equipment and all that. Skillets won their boxes, and I don't know like if this was like one of the stagehands boxes or what, but there was on both sides of the box, of the lid of the box that was open, there's a drawing of John Cooper. And then on the one side of the box of the lid, there was like a glass jar I think it was a glass jar. There was a jar of some sort, a container of some sort, and flowers coming out of it.
Oh,
I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let's see here. Oh, I'm sorry. A pot, not a jar.
Pot.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had two different drawings of Cooper, and they're like in the same exact pose. So you're like, are they by the same people? What's going on? Why are there two exact poses of the same exact pose of Cooper in this? Like I could see if like they were two different poses, but they were like the same exact pose. And and then they just a bunch of tools. So that's why I think it was kind of like maybe an assistant or stagehand to do their bidding and tuning of guitars. And I have never seen so many guitars tuned in my life as standing on that stage.
Oh,
especially for Crowder. Every song, he used a different instrument. Jeez. So between every song, someone was either tuning a banjo or a cigar box thing or a guitar or a guitar or just, and they're just in there between every song, tuning, and then they're running it out to Crowder at the end of every song for the next song so he could use his different instrument.
Wow.
It was entertaining watching because Crowder, when things went wrong, he just laughed through it.
Oh, for sure.
Because one of the songs early on in the set, he actually used a teleprompter with all the lyrics. So Crowder uses a teleprompter for the lyrics for the songs, at least at Life Fest. I don't know if he does that everywhere, but the teleprompter messed up and he's like just laughing because he's like, I got no words. Like he wasn't singing anything and he was just kind of looking over at the teleprompter person and he wasn't singing because the words were wrong. And And then when they did display the wrong words at the wrong time, he sang the wrong words at the wrong time.
Oh my gosh.
It was just, I was like, wow, that really shines a light on that. I was like, I wasn't expecting some of these musicians to be using teleprompters.
No.
And like when Newsboys was up, right, their teleprompter just had a big red words of okay in the middle. Like it was waiting for input. They weren't using it. Skillet had teleprompter up. Yeah.
Skillet.
I didn't see Cooper like looking down at it a lot, but they had it going still.
Yeah.
And I was just like, huh. The thing is, there was no teleprompter Thursday night for Matthew West. None.
Huh.
Friday night, there wasn't a teleprompter on stage until Crowder came out.
These big guys are faking it.
Well, they got a lot of songs to remember, so I give them
They do
leniency
not.
on that. So, but I just found that so funny. I was just like,
I never would have thought that. Well, I guess there's hope for
there's hope for
Lucas.
all of you, huh?
Yeah.
And it was also funny watching. So again, because I had their set list, so I knew what was coming up.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm looking through it. I'm like, Sick of It. That's normally when Cooper for Skillet comes out and has like the flamethrowers on his arm.
Oh, is it really? Oh, okay.
That's the song, right? So I'm sitting there watching, and I'm seeing as they're playing the intro to the song in that, and I see like the technicians trying to strap it on his arms and all that, and he's getting frustrated, like something's not working right. So he just pulls his arms out and just goes on and does without it.
Dang.
I was like, that's to watch for State Fair, because State Fair, he'll probably have whatever issue worked out by then.
Hopefully, yeah.
It was probably just either a timing or a malfunction. Because normally when that song starts, like he has big old flamethrowers on each arm, and he's just like stands in the middle of the stage shooting flamethrowers everywhere. It's entertaining.
I've seen pictures of it. Yeah, I guess maybe I haven't seen it in person.
Yeah. No, I've seen it in person. I was kind of like, oh, I wanted to feel the heat. I was also waiting for the big pyrotechnics that they normally do. Nothing. They only had little sparklers in the background.
Lame.
I was like, oh. But yeah, I was just like, yeah, well. And the thing with Skillet is, so for each of their songs, they put what key that song is in.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, we're doing Hero. What was it? Hero in C today. Yeah. Anchor in D, Undefeated in B, Victorious in C. Stars is acoustic, and they need stools. That's exactly what it says right on the sheet. And I knew that they were doing an encore.
What was their encore?
Resistance. But I knew that was happening because they have all their songs and then a line of dashes.
Yeah.
And by the time they got to that, they were already off the stage. So I was like,
oh, well, this is the encore.
They're doing an encore. And don't get me wrong, the last song they did of the set was Rebirth. But they kind of do that a lot.
One. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yep. They actually picked out some good ones from their list.
Okay.
Feel Invincible, Not Gonna Die, Sick of It, Whispers in the Dark, Legendary.
You gotta do Whispers.
Lions, Awaken Alive, Back from the Dead, Drum Solo, Hero, Anchor, Undefeated, Victorious, Stars, Comatose, Monster, Rebirthing. And then Resistance was the encore.
I'll have to listen to Resistance.
They were the only ones who did an encore.
What?
Yes.
Dude, don't let the encore die. No.
I was surprised. Well, okay, Matthew West, I wasn't surprised about encore. But I was like, oh, Newsboys, you have enough stuff to do an encore with.
Right.
That was
even Crowder.
Well, Crowder was before Newsboys.
Oh, so he's an opener.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was the one right before Newsboys. Now, the one thing I will say that was fun about Newsboys, besides the drum rotating.
Yeah.
So, the song Jesus Freak, that old song.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The Toby Mac rap part?
Yeah.
The wiggled around like a...
Yeah.
So Tate actually pulled someone up from the crowd to do that.
That's cool.
And before he pulled him up, he's like, I want you to do it, where you're at, make sure that you know the words. The guy did it. So he's like, yep, come on up. Kid did phenomenal. I have it on video.
That's
but
so
the kid,
sick.
like he was going down the center stage, out into the crowd doing it all and everything.
Fun.
He was just doing fun, and he did phenomenal. It was good.
That's awesome.
So I was like, beautiful. And so, like I said, good times all around. I have some fun pictures from the stage, from on the stage itself, from the side.
Yeah.
Getting to see like Crowder and all that doing his stuff and everything. And like someone was like, how deep is the stage? And I took a picture of like the front to the back of the stage. It's actually quite wide of a stage where they're able to set up a bunch of places.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of room on that.
Yep. So on Skillet's night, they had like, everyone kind of set up ahead of time, and Skillet stuff set up behind them, and then they just kind of move Skillet's
stuff.
forward when it was their time.
It's a nice setup.
Including all the their platforms and all that they use for.
Yeah,
that they still do, and they had their cellist. They had their cellist and all that.
Oh, he was there.
Yeah. Now I know you've bought Cooper's book. Have you read any of it?
A couple pages.
It is an easy read.
Yeah.
I picked it up at Life Fest.
Oh, you did?
And
okay.
I read like half of it while listening to.
Oh no! Yeah, I have not gotten that far.
Because all the teenage girls were like, "Oh, we got to go see Jason or John or whatever his name, freaking Feliz."
What?
I think his name was Jason Feliz, Justin Feliz, something like that.
I have no idea.
Like
some new like pretty boy.
So he started his. So he does like that very poppy vocal stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess what he started as?
Oh, I don't know.
He started. Oh, his name is Jordan Feliz. Jordan Feliz. He started as a hard touring heavy metal singer.
So he just realized that that's not going to bring.
And now he's a pop artist.
Yeah, that'll bring in the dough.
So he started as a heavy metal singer, switched and became a church worship leader, and now he's a pop artist. And
Was he a believer when he was in the metal, or was that him?
I didn't research it that deep. But anyways,
was the metal his devil times, and then he found the Lord, and then changed and went to pop music?
Don't know. But all the teenage girls were like, "Oh, Jordan Feliz, I gotta go see him!" Like they're fangirling so hard, and they're like, oh, "He's so handsome." All the girls that were up from the youth group, he's so handsome, including Peter's girlfriend.
Don't worry, Peter, you're better.
Well, no, and Andy said to me, he's like, "Don't worry, Peter. She loves you."
Right,
she's just fangirling right now.
Yeah.
And Peter understood. He gets it, and he was all good with it. But it was just entertaining.
It's one of those things.
And where I was on the stage, like I was like, okay, I'll go on stage and listen because I want a good spot for crowd or I want a good spot for Newsboys, and so I went on stage a little early. So that's why I had Cooper's book and I was reading it.
Yeah,
because I was like, yeah, this guy really is not my jam. I am not liking this guy at all. This Jordan Feliz guy. Yeah, and I'm sitting there. I look over. I'm like, Peter, I see you. And I could see him from the stage in the crowd. He's just kind of sitting there staring forward. Now, that being said, he did say he did enjoy the music. And I'll grant it, the guy is talented. You know, you can recognize when someone's talented but not enjoy their stuff. Just like the surprise of the night for me, or the surprise of the weekend. Yeah. I had two surprising events of the weekend.
Okay.
Of Life Fest week. Disciple was playing. They went a lot more, both me and Peter agreed, they went a lot harder and a lot more screamy.
Live than they do on their records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy enjoyed the whole thing.
What? What?
This was surprise number one. Okay.
Oh, I like Disciple.
No, they did good.
Good.
I went up there and I was like, this is too screamy, and I'm just getting done off of because it was like 11 p.m.
Oh,
you know,
that's one of the best things, to be listening to right when you're getting ready for bed.
So I was like, I'm tired. I enjoyed a couple songs. I went back to the camp.
Yeah.
But at least went and enjoyed a couple songs, right? So that happens, and I'm like, wow, that's a surprise. Andy enjoyed this. Okay, cool. And then, we're talking, and he's like, yeah, he's like, Skillet's here every year. Not the biggest fan, da-da-da-da. He's like, I like what Cooper says and everything.
Yeah.
And I'll play a video for you later. Cooper, he was, if this wasn't a Christian Life Fest, he would have had people booing him with some of the stuff he said. Cooper, yeah.
Wait.
It was good. It was good. I just said, if it wasn't a Christian music fest, people have
been booing him.
Yeah, but it was great. Anyways, but so Andy said that before. He's like, not my favorite, blah blah blah. He's like, I appreciate his message and his and all this. And then I see on Facebook from Andy, Skillet at Life Fest, rocking it. I'm like, huh? and then we get back from Life Fest, and he's like, so Skillet's at State Fair. You want to go see them? And I'm like,
yeah.
I was like, wait,
but what?
I am so confused. What is happening?
He's changing.
And I was like, that's cool. I was just
the next thing you know, he's going to be coming to August Burns Red concerts.
I doubt it, but
don't.
But I was just that was surprise number 2 of the weekend. I was just like,
that's awesome.
What's going on here? I'm confused.
Yeah.
But
it's a midlife crisis. I'm just kidding.
You never. Well, you never know. He'll hit that first before me by a few years. But
I've already hit it, so it's whatever. You guys are behind.
That's sad if you already hit it. But so Life Fest, that's that was probably my big quote unquote vacation of the summer.
Yeah.
My big thing of the summer. And then
That's cool.
The 2 concerts, Skillet in August, and Classic Crime in September. I'm taking off of work 2 days each for those, Thursday and Friday, just to relax the day after, and just
that's always nice.
Chill out, and then not have to worry about like, am I staying up too late the night before at the concert?
I
and
never
care
about that.
Be like, oh, I got to get home by 10 p.m. so I can be asleep by 11 so I can wake up and be ready for work. No, I don't care about that matter.
Nope.
So that way I can be like, oh yeah, if I want to stay out later, I stay out later. And
as much as I would hate it, I would be okay with getting back home at 3, 4 in the morning and then getting ready at 5 if need be.
Yeah.
As long as it's just a once in a while thing.
Yeah, if it's a once in a while thing. But I was just like, you know what? I want to be able to enjoy my concert night without the worry about the work the next day.
Thinking about that coming up.
So I was just like, I'm just taking off those 2 days.
That's awesome.
But outside that, I have not planned outside the summer left, except for Xena at my mother's house. Randomly. Just, oh boy, that dog.
Oh.
My mom spoils that dog way too much. Yeah.